Hello everyone, today is 4th of February. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS fodder. So guys, today we will be taking a quote from the Shira Tarrant, who has been an American writer and a feminist thinker. Now guys, she had defined the origin of the toxic masculinity or the obsession with the manliness. She had said that into a traditional society, femininity is seen as an artifice, whereas masculinity is seen as a substance. Now, friends, artifice means the cleverness, cunningness, or a tool of deception. So, it has been said that the femininity is always used as a tool of deception, whereas the masculinity has been called as substance. Now, substance means a kind of a relevant thing, a real thing, which has its own independent existence. So, masculinity has been called as something more desirable. Now, guys, why today we are discussing about it? Because today I was going through the BBC's article where the China had now just issued a directive for the educational institutions and has explicitly asked them to promote the education which makes boys more manly or makes boys more masculine. According to the China, it is being believed that the present influencers, present athletes, they are showing more of a femininity, and the China believes this femininity as a derogatory. Now, guys, this particular mindset is responsible for the gender segregation, gender roles, as well as the patriarchal mindset where women are always seen into a secondary position and a second grade citizens. Guys, we can utilize this particular idea into GS paper number 1 as well as GS paper number 2 under the topics of issues related to the women, as well as into the essays which are oriented towards the feminization. Such kind of idea can be utilized, and into the past few years repeatedly the essays onto the women has been there. So guys, that is all about this particular GS folder, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, taking up the first article. So, this has been taken from the Times of India newspaper. And, guys, here we can see that the cabinet had cleared a proposal where more powers are being given to the LG or the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Now, guys, this particular article becomes important into our GS paper number 2 into the topics related to the devolution of power as well as federalism. And, guys, already earlier also, the UPSC has asked a question onto this particular line into the mains examination. Now, before going on to this particular article, that what is the proposal, let's take some of the basic information. Now, guys, when we talk about the union territories are different from the state. Why? Because into the union territory, majorly the structure, power structure is unitary, because president through the administrator appointed by him directly governs the matters of the union territory. So guys, at the end of the day, as we know that the president is just a ceremonial head, so the central government is having an ultimate control over the union territory, and the provisions with respect to the union territory are contained in article number 239 to 241 into the part 8th of the Indian constitution. However, guys, there are three union territories which have been given some of the more autonomy, that is the Union Territory of Delhi, Puducherry, and the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which have been provided their own legislative assembly. Now, guys, when we talk about the Delhi, it has been provided legislative assembly of the 70 members by the virtue of the 69th Constitutional Amendment Act. Now, guys, into the matters of a Union Territory of Delhi, the Lieutenant Governor has been appointed by the President as one who will be looking at the affairs of the Union Territory along with the Chief Minister, which is appointed by the members of the Legislative Assembly. Now, guys, into the Delhi Union Territory case, it has been provided into the Constitution that whenever there will be a difference of opinion between the Lieutenant Governor and the Chief Minister of Delhi, at that point of time, the matters can be sent to the President, who will be ultimately be telling that what is to be done. And there was one more provision also, which where it has been said that meanwhile the lieutenant governor can take the decisions whatever he fits. Now, guys, this particular provision was criticized a lot into the recent times, because it was said that the lieutenant governor deliberately is reserving all the matters to the president, and in meanwhile he is dictating that what is to be done. And into this particular way, the chief minister of Delhi as well as the legislative assembly of Delhi has been created as a secondary chamber, and this thing is going against the purpose of the 69th Constitutional Amendment Act. So therefore, guys, what happened in 2019, Supreme Court came out with a judgment and said that city's government need not to obtain lieutenant governor's concurrence in every issue of day-to-day governance. So basically what it's provided, it indirectly provided more power to the chief minister and the legislative assembly of the Delhi. Now, guys, this particular judgment of Supreme Court is to be undone by the central government, and into this particular direction, the central government is coming out with a new proposal, that is the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Bill 2021. And into this particular bill, it has been provided that all the legislative proposals are to be sent to the LG at least 15 days in advance, and all the administrative proposals are to be sent at least 7 days in advance to seek the opinion of the LG, and so that there are no delays. Now, guys, specifically into the bill, it has been provided that the bill is to be referred to the LG and his opinion is to be sought out. Now, this is basically a kind of an attempt to undo the Supreme Court's directive which was given in the 2019. So friends, this particular article can be used as an example where you can show that how the center government is encroaching over the domain of the elected governments into the states as well as union territories, and into the topic of the decentralization of power, the federalism as an irritant. This particular example can be given. So that is all about this particular article, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is pertaining to the recent controversy that had happened when the Facebook official refused to appear before the Delhi Legislative Assembly's Committee on the Peace and Harmony. So, guys, there is a little bit of development. First of all, let's understand this entire issue. So, guys, into the 2020 initial part, there was the riots into the northeast Delhi in response to the Citizenship Amendment Act that was brought by the government of India. Now, guys, into this particular respect, the Delhi Legislative Assembly is now investigating the matter and is seeing that what role the Facebook has played into that, because it was alleged that the Facebook had facilitated the profusion of the post which basically driven the wedge, and the motive of the Facebook was to act onto the behest of the ruling party. So all these particular allegations were being seen by the Legislative Assembly, and for this particular purpose, the Committee on Peace and Harmony was constituted. Now, guys, this particular committee, when summoned one of the senior official from the Facebook, he said that he will not be appearing and he has the right to be silent. And even he said that this particular committee is having no power over the private person, and he has all the right to be silent and not to appear before this particular committee. Now, guys, into the response, the committee had threatened the Facebook official by holding him accountable for the breach of privilege to the parliament. Now, guys, as a part of the privileges that has been given, they can summon any particular person and can ask or call the witnesses. And this particular Facebook official, when he is not cooperating, he is committing the breach of privilege. Now, this particular matter has been referred to the Supreme Court, which is listening to the. Now, it has been provided into this particular matter that the tradition of summoning the witness is more than 100-year old, and by not appearing, the Facebook is trying to create the Republic of Facebook within the Republic of India. Now, such kind of expressions are, guys, very important. Republic of Facebook, it means that the Facebook is trying to bring its own rules over the Republic of India's rules. And further, it has also been said that if the government of Delhi wants to look into the matter and if Facebook is not cooperating, that in then it is a kind of an unhealthy precedence which is being started. So, guys, all these are the matters which had come into this particular respect. Now, the Supreme Court ultimately will be giving the decision on to this particular matter. So, guys, just here a question comes that whether the fundamental rights are more important or the working of the legislative assembly or the other kind of committees of the legislative assemblies are more important. Now, guys, both of them are having their own arguments and justifications also. For example, it is said that the fundamental rights cannot be toppled by any particular ordinary kind of process. The notices which has been sent, they are the ordinary notice, they cannot violate the fundamental right. Whereas, guys, the legislative assembly, it is providing that the fundamental rights are not absolute, they are qualified, and the legislative assembly's committee is well competent to call of the witnesses. So, guys, that is all this particular matter, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, these two articles have been taken from the Business Standard as well as the Hindu newspaper. And here, just for the reference, a few important points we will be going to see. Now, here into this particular article, you can see that the government has issued action notice to the Twitter, because Twitter is running a kind of a hashtag, that is the farmer genocide hashtag, which is going viral because it has been said that rather than responding to the farmers' demands, now the government is trying to create a kind of a fortress around the farmer protesters, and they are cutting them from the crucial supplies, and it is an attempt to kill off the entire protest. Now, guys, into this particular capacity, government asked the Twitter that there are certain people who are tweeting against the government, their accounts are needed to be banned, and certain hashtags are also to be taken off. Now, the first of all, Twitter did not take any action for entire day, and after that it suspended all such kind of activities for few hours, then again it resumed. So into this particular capacity, now the government had said that the section 69A of the IT Act gives the power to the government that it can ask the intermediaries such as Twitter to take down any content. After that, guys, see one more article here. The internet has been shut down into the Delhi, and for this particular thing, the government has invoked the temporary suspension of telecom services public emergency or public safety rules 2017, which are provided under the Indian Telegraph Act of 1885. Now, here you can see at both the points, guys, what is being done. The government is curtailing the freedom of speech and expression, and the government is providing the justification that onto the other hand there is law and order also which is to be carried forward. And guys, both of the justifications are having their own crucial validity. Speech and expression being a fundamental right need not to be curtailed, as well as the law and order is to be maintained. Now, what is to be the madhyam marg or the middle approach? So this is a kind of a very tricky matter which is coming. Now, friends, earlier even question on to the section number 66A of the IT Act has directly been asked. So basically, I want that you should keep into your mind that these provisions are about what, and if you are writing any generalistic question even with respect to the government's action onto the freedom of speech and expression onto the online media, please quote such kind of provisions that it gives a kind of a more authenticity to your answers. So guys, that is all about this particular article, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here we can see that the Bihar government had issued a new directive where it has been said that the people who are participating into the protest or are staging the blockade, etc., they will not be given the government services. So, the directive says that if anyone is found to be involved in a law and order situation, staging protest, road blockade, etc., and in a criminal act against which police file a charge sheet, these persons should be ready for grave consequences because they will not get government job and contracts. Now, guys, this particular issue becomes important. Why? Because if you see the wording, it has been provided that the police filing the charge sheet. Now, the charge sheet is not the conviction of a particular person. And into the Indian judicial setup, the presumption of the innocence has been made as a golden rule of justice. Presumption of innocence means that until and unless very clearly the crimes will be proved, the person will be given all the advantages of an innocent person. But this particular directive is clearly ignoring such kind of presumption of innocence fact. And guys, even the right to protest has been recognized under the fundamental right under article number 19. So how, when a person exercises his fundamental right, he cannot be allowed to join the government services and government job? It is also going on against the spirit of article number 16, where it has been provided that government cannot discriminate onto the people in terms of the job. Then, guys, further, when we are talking about the jobs, contracts, livelihood, it is also specifically again provided into the article number 19, and the undue discriminations need not to be there. So it has been said that such kind of a spirit goes against the ideas of the democracy, and the democracy is characterized by the people's right to come out with all the kind of rules, regulations which they don't approve of. Even, guys, a few days back there was also one more directive into the Bihar where it was said that any person writing anything about against the government, against the government officials, he will be liable to the punishments. Now, that particular thing was also a kind of a derogatory and the repressive kind of step. So guys, this is all into this particular thing. Now, friends, the utility of such kind of issues is this, that you can use them as a references or the case studies when you are writing any particular answer into such kind of light. So that is all. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the editorial section of the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the urban mobility, which is an important component into the GS paper number 3 under the infrastructure. Even, guys, into the ease of living for the people, this particular aspect can also be utilized. Now, see, just a couple of days back, budget has been announced, and into this budget, the government has also talked about the urban mobility. Now, guys, when we talk about the urban mobility, it means the ease of movement within the city and from the periphery of the city within the major trade centers and other important places, government offices, schools, educational institutions, etc. Now, guys, into the budget, government has specifically talked about improving the metro connectivity, and for this particular thing, specific funding has been announced for the three metro projects, that is the Kochi metro project, Chennai and Bengaluru metro projects. Now, guys, this is a very good thing. However, government has also talked about enhancing the bus connectivity into the city. Now, guys, the bus transit happens to be an important aspect because the deployment cost is very much less, and after that, the bus can even play a role of the last mile connectivity. Now, guys, it has been provided into the budget that the bus connectivity will be enhanced via the PPP model, that is the public private partnership, and here now the private sector will be given a larger share. Now, guys, already when we talk about the size of India's bus fleet, we have 1.2 buses every 1000 of population, which is very much less compared to the other developing countries. For example, in Thailand it is 8.6, and into the South Africa it is 6.5. So, guys, involving the private sector will make a much more sense here. After that, it has also been provided that there are some specific areas also where government has to give a specific attention. For example, there is a need to reform the state monopolies. There are various state governments where there are the state roadways transport corporations or the SRTC authorities. They themselves are taking up the entire intrastate and interstate transit. Private sector is not given any scope here, and it basically leads to compromised standards of quality, delayed services, and all such kind of things. Then it has been provided that we also need to work on to the mobility cards or the common mobility cards, which can be used across all the modes of transportation. You can use it into the metro, into the bus, into the ferry, into the local trains, etc. Now, this particular thing will be improving the ease of traveling. After that, the last mile connectivity also happens to be an important aspect. Now, guys, the people who are living onto the fringes of the city due to very much high residential cost into the city center, they often prefer to use the two wheelers for their day to day commutation, because as the last mile connectivity is not there, they have to depend on to the cabs and autos, which are often very much expensive and makes impractical for everyday commutation. So, guys, the last mile connectivity needs to be improved. And finally, it has also been provided that, guys, as per the census of 2011, into the last few years, actually the urban towns have increased, but still they have not been acknowledged as an urban town. They are still categorized as the rural areas, and until and unless they will not be acknowledged as urban town, specific infrastructure funding will not be provided for them for the urban transportation. So we need to acknowledge the existence of such towns, and specific funding needs to be provided if the pan India urban mobility is to be enhanced. So, guys, all are these the ideas which have been given. So that is all about this particular article, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, friends, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the idea of the smart walls which can be implemented into the India. Now, guys, this particular topic can be utilized into the GS paper number 3 into the topics related to the internal security and the solutions as how to make boundaries more secure. Now, guys, what is a smart wall? This particular idea came as recently the Joe Biden, the new president of the USA, he had called off the physical wall project that was going to be established between the US and Mexico. You might be knowing when the Donald Trump came, he said that he will be building a wall which will stop the infiltration of the Mexicans into the USA. Now, though Joe Biden had said that in the place of the physical wall, the smart wall will be built. Now, the smart wall will be dependent on to the advanced surveillance technology. It will utilize the sensors and radars in order to keep a check onto the infiltrators. Guys, the idea is such that the artificial intelligence will be utilized here. After that, there will be the hundreds of mobile surveillance towers that will be deployed, and then there will be a radar, satellite, computer equipped border control vehicles will be there. And often it has been observed that the underground movement is also there. So there will also be the underground sensors, and then there will be the surveillance towers, cameras, thermal imaging will be utilized to see the detections of the objects into the night times. And there will also be the systems which will be capable of distinguishing between the animals, the humans, vehicles, and will be sending the real-time update to the patrolling personnel. Now, guys, see, when I discussed all this particular idea, Donald Trump also said that along with the physical wall, this particular thing will also be established. Now, the Joe Biden is saying that there is no need of entirely establishing the physical wall, only the smart wall will do the work. Now, the question comes that whether this kind of smart wall can be utilized onto the Indian borders also, which is often plagued with the illegal migrants, the terrorists, and all such kind of people. So it has been provided that establishing a smart boundary for India makes a very compelling case because Indian borders are marked with the very rough terrain where actually deploying the troops is not possible. And guys, sometimes the water bodies and all such kind of things are crisscrossing the borders. So there, the deployment of the physical wall, a physical boundary becomes very much difficult. After that, guys, not only the terrain is tough, rather it is not also properly defined, and there also again establishing a physical post becomes a problem. So in all these cases, the smart Indian boundary is a very important viable solution. And apart from that, the smart wall is also cost effective. It is less damaging to the environment. There are few land seizures that had to be carried, and very speedily it can be deployed. So all these are the advantages of the smart wall over a physical wall. And further, guys, the smart wall can also be used as to complement the physical wall. For example, there was the attack onto the Pathankot Air Force Base, which highlighted that many of our security establishment are not properly secured. So there also the smart wall is needed to be established. So guys, such are all the ideas which are provided into this particular article. Guys, you can utilize all of them into the GS paper number 3, internal security. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about some of the criticisms of the DNA technology use and application regulation bill 2019. Now, friends, this particular topic is important for your GS paper number 2 under the right to privacy. Now, see, first of all, let's take some of the basic background. Now, guys, when we talk about the investigation for any particular crime, then the methods which are adopted, they are absolute and very primitive, and because of this many a times the investigation becomes inordinately delayed, and therefore there are large number of implications. For example, large number of people, they have to be detained into the jails, and they are serving as an under trials because simply the investigation has not been over. Now it has been provided that DNA analysis can be an important aspect here. By analyzing the DNA of a particular person, and if that DNA matches with the crime scene, we can establish the identity. But into the context of India, DNA analysis is not being done. Now, guys, it has been said that in India, the DNA testing is done on extremely limited scale. There are only 30 to 40 DNA experts in 15 to 18 laboratories, and in 1 year, less than 3,000 cases are dealt by analyzing the DNA. So, therefore, it is provided into the DNA technology regulation bill that a kind of a authority will be made which will establish that where the DNA analysis into the crimes can be done, and it will make the Indian investigation more robust. However, guys, it has also been provided that there could be some of the abuses of this particular DNA technological bill also. It has been provided that the bill will provide the unbridled power to the enforcement agencies. They can just onto the suspicion can collect the DNA samples, and it might lead to threat of their life, liberty, dignity, and privacy. It has been said that there will be large screening of the people will be done for the DNA. For example, if there is an instance of a riot, and into the riot the thousands of people are involved, and all of them will be profiled for their DNA. According to, guys, the retired Supreme Court Justice Lokur, it has been provided that it will lead to violation of many of the fundamental rights, and particularly the fundamental rights of privacy. So therefore it has been provided that a robust mechanism also needed to be installed so that such kind of technologies are not at all misused for the ulterior motives. So guys, that is all about this particular article. Guys, there are many of the articles which are coming onto the newspaper, particularly onto the farmers protest, vaccine, and all such kind of things. Now guys, this particular matter is very much evolving. I will not advise you that every day to day development you should see into that particular respect. Guys, always I say this particular thing that you need to be very much selective. Always you need to keep it into your mind that what kind of articles you are reading and how they will be helpful directly directly into your examination. So guys, that is all for the today. I hope that you are understanding the articles and this particular initiative you are finding fruitful. That is all. Thank you so much.